What does Interstellar, the movie, have in common with your company's content? What's good? Kelvin here. I've created content for over 10 years, helping generate and drive over $150 million in revenue for some of the biggest brands in the world with our content. Now, I want to share with you today a simple framework that turns average content into killer content. Of course, we are not going to talk about Hollywood movies, but instead, we're going to talk about content that can actually drive revenue and business for your company. This means attaining awareness, converting customers, and retaining revenue for your business. At the end, I will even share with you a little secret that we use to get the last 5% of performance out of every piece of content that we make. So if you're tired of me saying the word content, let's get right into it. Since we previously mentioned Interstellar, I want you to take a look at this plot map by Christopher Nolan that is emblematic for the entire movie, written on one piece of paper. What do you notice? I want you to look at the different characters in different timelines, all intersecting on one single plot line. And if you pay close attention, look at the shape of the plot line. Doesn't it look like a valley or inverted mountain? Well, in Christopher Nolan's case, because majority of the movie is sequenced around a dream sequence, we have, instead of a traditional story mountain, we have a story valley. Now, this shape is the missing piece in majority of content we see today. Now, you might have been taught creative writing in school, or when you were young, you tried your hand at writing a fairy tale. So you kind of understand and remember the story mountain. Essentially, the story mountain is narrative. And that narrative component in even a 30-second or 2-minute video is critical for the performance of every piece of content that we make. Because ultimately, the goal of our content in a marketing sense is to not only raise awareness for the solution that we provide, but also prepare the customer for a possible conversion event that might happen down the line. So in the sea of sameness, this is why it's important to create killer content that stands out. Everyone's creating content, but most companies forget to really work the narrative of their content. Now let's get right into what most marketers already know and use in their content, right? We call this the problem, agitation, solution framework. In short, we call this PAS, right? Problem, agitation, and solution. You might already know in your content, you have to label your pain, right? Label the pain. Make it painful, all right? And then position yourself, you as the expert to solve, to alleviate the pain. You know this framework already, but what if I told you that this framework is great for starters, but it makes every piece of content the same, right? It creates this, I like to call this sea of sameness. Because this is essentially the boilerplate, the foundation of your content. But what needs to happen is for you to stand out, right? We are trying to stand out. But getting there requires narrative, as previously mentioned. Narrative is how we get to content that stands out. So let's get into this idea of the story mountain. I want you to look at this with me. Okay, let's look at the story mountain. You might have remembered this from your childhood, but essentially, it is a simple yet often underlooked aspect of content production. Okay, first things first, we have our introduction, right? We build context. We have tension, or classically we call this the rising action. We have a climax. We have falling action, or in this case, the solution, right? And then we have a resolution or a call to action. This is what takes content to the next level. It does not replace the problem, agitation, solution framework. In fact, it takes what you've already established in the PAS and then supercharges it and delivers it to your customers so they stay engaged. And not only that, watch the entire video so they come back for more. And when they become a loyal viewer, then you've created yourself a loyal customer. It's easy for me to talk about the story mountain in such a framework because it's simple. It's an introduction, the context, the rising action, and you see the different steps. But what does it truly mean in example? Okay, so let me put it to you this way. First of all, let's make a little story together. Let's say we are a AI B2B consulting company that sells AI transformation as a solution. Okay, and now I want to solve the pain for my customers. And this pain is that most executives, they are perhaps stuck in doing menial tasks, right? So if we use the idea that we are solving, I'm a B2B AI firm, AI consultancy, right? If I use the PAS, right, the pain, agitate, solution, the pain I solve for is that the pain executives stuck wasting time doing menial tasks. So things like updating spreadsheets or cleaning the CRM with trying to keep it hygienic, or answering spam emails, things like that take up a lot of time that's not worth the opportunity cost, right? We agitate it, we talk about the time lost, right? Essentially the opportunity cost that should be spent generating business, right? Revenue. The solution is AI agents take back 30% of your time, right? It will save you 30% of your time if you implement the agentic workflow that we put in your company. Now most marketers might look at this framework and say, wow, this is great content. I can begin making videos already. I can talk about how executives should stop wasting time chasing menial tasks, leave it to an AI agent, and will help you win back 30% of your time. That's a problem agitation solution kind of video. But that's not good enough. In fact, let's draw out the story mountain. It needs narrative, okay? And together, I want you to focus on this word here, human. Human. You see this, every aspect of this problem and solution, we need to relate it to our customer. We need to make it sound human. All right, so in our introduction, what do we do to make this sound human? Think about executives. Think about their busy lives, okay? So think about busy executive. Think about perhaps they have kids, yet they are kids on Sunday. They're going to take them out to a football game, but they are spending their life in Excel. And then in the rising action, in the tension, in the office, not driving results equals not meeting KPI, your key performance indicators, right? They're not meeting their targets. So in the climax, we offer them a better way out. We say, do you want to spend your time on Sunday in Excel, your time in office not generating results for your business, not doing the task that you are because you are bogged down by all the menial work that should be left to AI agents while you focus on the human work? There's a way out. There's a way out. And that way out, free your time to do the work humans are good at. Go meet your clients. Go meet your customers. Give them the dream outcome. Do you notice that I have not even mentioned this 30% number yet? Well, in the introduction, I spend the time building context, that I understand my customer, their busy lives, their family life, their desire to excel in business. In the rising action, what I did was show the difference between their dream outcome and dream life and their current reality, the contrast that exists. In the climax, I show that, hey, there is a way out here. It shouldn't be like this. In the falling action, I finally present a dream outcome, which is that they could free their time to do the work that humans are good at. And lastly, in the resolution, I offer a simple solution, which is to book time to see where we can save, where we can buy back 30% of time for you. I'm not saying that this is the best call to action, but I'm simply giving you a solution in one line. The whole time, I have not essentially sold a solution. What I have is labeled that problem, the pain, in a human way. I've agitated that time lost and revenue lost using tension and the difference between outcomes and reality. I've offered a turning point, a way out, a dream outcome, and finally, in the call to action, in the resolution, I simply say, hey, if you want to save 30% of your time, you want to buy back 30% of your time, just book a call with us or book a meeting and let's see where we can save that time for you. That's the fundamental layer that our business operates on. But this is the delivery vehicle that takes our message and drives it to where our audience lives, right? We use video to deliver impression and retention. Now, let's talk about how we can really take that last 5% of every piece of content that we make and make it better. And the number one rule I live by in my content is to sell to the dream outcome, not the problem, not the solution. Why, you might ask? It's because the dream outcome is where our customers want to be at. Your solution takes you there, and the problem just makes them aware of their pain. But when you can sell them to the dream outcome, you're selling them something even bigger than 30% of time saved. You're selling them to an unquantifiable, even larger dream that can be made a possibility. And this results in content that has a better narrative structure, just like watching Interstellar by Christopher Nolan. Now, if you enjoyed this kind of content, it's my first time making a think along with me, just let me know in the comments below. And also, I have a link to an internal content roadmap that we use for our clients that takes them from 2 videos a month to more than 5 videos a month, helping them generate demand. There's no email required. Just click the link below, and see you next week for our next video. Thank you. Please also like and subscribe.